the Allied forces in the north. He now turned his attention to conquering the remainder of France and was planning a new thrust south across the rivers Somme and Aisne. Yet the evacuation of Dunkirk continued. Now paddle steamers and pleasure boats were being pressed into service. These became known as the Little Ships of Dunkirk. They played an important role in the rescue mission. Not just British, but now French and Belgian troops were being evacuated from the beaches. One reason for that success was that Royal Air Force fighters had begun engaging the Luftwaffe over the beaches. They were only a small part of the total British fighter force. The majority of the RAF was standing by to defend Britain in case the French were defeated.
Just inside Dunkirk, about 35 feet.
Even so, the British fighters helped limit the Luftwaffe's onslaught. The Luftwaffe could not halt the evacuation, and Goering's attempt at military glory was frustrated. On May 31st, 56,000 troops were rescued, and another 65,000 on the following day. But the mounting losses of ships finally forced Britain's Admiral Ramsay to restrict the evacuation to nighttime. Meanwhile, German pressure on the shrinking Dunkirk perimeter was remorseless. Time was running out for Operation Dynamo. June 3rd would be the final night of the evacuation. Nearly 30,000 men were rescued. The next day, the Germans entered the port of Dunkirk. They took 50,000 Allied troops prisoner. They surveyed the wrecked guns and heavy equipment the Allies had been forced to leave behind. The Germans had destroyed 177 Allied aircraft and sunk some 200 ships. Hitler appeared ready to become the master of Western Europe. On June 6, 1940, Hitler's armies turned south from Dunkirk and began assaulting the rest of France. Once they crossed the rivers Somme and Aisne, the panzers resumed their rampage. On June 14th, German troops entered Paris. The French had declared Paris an open city to prevent the destruction suffered by Warsaw in September 1939. Eight days later, France signed an armistice with Germany. Aboard the same railroad car, Germany had signed its 1918 armistice with the Allies. A triumphant Hitler now believed Europe lay at his feet. He had forgotten that he allowed so many Allied troops to escape from Dunkirk. On the other side of the English Channel, Britain remained defiant. 220,000 British and 120,000 French and Belgian troops had been successfully evacuated from Dunkirk. Many of the French troops returned to defend their country, but were unable to prevent the defeat of France. In Britain, survivors of the British Expeditionary Force were greeted as heroes. The miracle of Dunkirk was seen as a victory. It meant the British Army remained virtually intact. The British were now determined to continue fighting until they defeated the Nazis. Hitler's blunder was in assigning the destruction of the Allied forces at Dunkirk to Goering and his Luftwaffe, instead of allowing his panzers to complete the mission. This had far-reaching consequences. When Hitler later realized that Britain would continue to wage war, he decided he must invade. He sent the Luftwaffe to prepare the way, but just as Goering failed to destroy the Dunkirk pocket, he also failed to destroy the RAF in the Battle of Britain. When he became frustrated in the West, Hitler turned eastward to confront the Soviet Union. Germany was now committed to war on two fronts, and a war it could not win. It ultimately led to the destruction of Nazi Germany. If Hitler had not blundered in Dunkirk, the outcome of World War II in Europe might have been very different.